Carolyn Dube here. What's the play for today? Today, I'm making some Monet-inspired gel prints. I wanted that soft, impressionistic kind of look to it. And of course, the thing that I knew that would give me that pattern were dishwashing gloves. Yep, you heard that right. These are funny little dishwashing gloves I ran across online, and they make great gel printing tools. So here they are. These are the dishwashing gloves I'm talking about. They've got these funny little, nubbies on them, whatever you want to call them. And supposedly they're great for doing dishes according to the ad I saw for them. But yeah, I'm not really using them for that. This may not be exactly their intended purpose, but they do an awesome job doing it. So now I'm going to take this print here and you're going to see how this is a very impressionistic kind of look, kind of those Monet's gardens kind of colors to it. And it's all done with this silly dish glove. Now, I'm going to do a bunch more of these because once I get all this stuff out, there's plenty of paint there. I'm going to keep on going. Now, you'll notice I'm kind of dipping a little bit of a fingertip in the colors that I want to use, and then I'm just pouncing it around in different places, blending the colors. Now, the more you pounce, the more it blends. The less you pounce, the less it blends. And you might have also noticed that I'm staying in just the cooler colors. I'm staying away from that pink and orange over there and staying with my blues and greens and yellows. Now, when you're doing this, after you take a pull, if you look down at your plate and you see a bunch of paint, kind of like what I've got here, you can take another print, a ghost print. One of the things that I have noticed that these gloves are excellent for is catching hair. Apparently, I'm losing lots of it, little strands are everywhere, and I keep finding them in the glove. So every now and then you'll see me pull one off of there because these things are a great magnet for that. Now at any point, you can stop making prints. I could have stopped, except I'm having too much fun. I've still got some paint out there, so I'm just going to keep on making prints. Now something that's hard for you to see because of the angle of the camera being above me is how much paint I'm putting on each one of my fingers. All I'm really doing is dipping my fingertips in the color that I want. And I'm not actually grabbing that much paint. These gloves are actually pretty awesome for getting it spread around there. Now this print may be one of my favorite. I just love all that gently blended speckling going on there. Now, you might be wondering where I got these fine printing tools. Well, I got them online. They're not very expensive, and I'll have a link down below for you if you want to check them out. I did actually try them a little bit on dishes beforehand because I was kind of curious, and they weren't my thing when it came to doing dishes with these, but for printing, they are so my thing. Now normally, I will play with the entire rainbow at once, but because all of this is blending colors together, I'm steering clear of the full rainbow. But I gotta tell you, just having it sitting over there is really calling to me. Oh, and by the way, what it's sitting on is a 6x6 gel press plate. I'm just using that as my palette because it's convenient. And when I'm all done, I'll actually take a print over whatever's left on that palette. That way, none of the paint ever has to be wasted. Since I'm getting near the end here of the blues and greens, I'm just putting my whole hand in it to see what paint I can get to come up. And that pink, it's really calling to me. I'm gonna live a little on the edge here and just put little touches of it here and there and see how it goes. And it's not getting too muddy as I'm doing this, so I'm even gonna do a little bit more. Doing a really light touch as I'm doing this though. Not doing a lot of blending around so that pink stays nice and pink. All right, so let's see what this 8x10 gel press plate does for me on this one. Am I gonna love those little touches of pink in there or not? And will I get a good ghost print too? Will I get two of the pink prints? Now this first one, I absolutely love that pink in there. Not a shocker that I was gonna like that, right? When there's enough paint there, I'm gonna take a ghost pull, but because it's a ghost pull, there's less paint on there. So that means there's going to be less paint on the print. Now, usually I love my ghost prints more than the first, but not with this technique. I actually like the first one better. Now, did you notice I've got my glove on the other hand now? Now I'm doing it with my left hand. And these are the warm colors, the pinks, the oranges, the yellows. And it's a completely separate glove. So why did I do that? Why did I have one glove for the cool colors and one glove for the warm colors? Well, it's because I don't clean these off. I don't want to spend the time cleaning them, although I absolutely could. Cleaning just doesn't bring me joy very often. And since there are two gloves, I'm like, well, this will work out nicely. One for cool colors, one for warm colors. And that's why when I started this play today, there was already color on the gloves. Now, depending on how much paint you're using, will determine how many ghost pulls you can get. Some days I can actually get 2 or 3 ghost pulls. Some days I can't even get 1. So just keep that in mind. It has to do with the temperature, the humidity, the kind of paint you're using, how much paint you're using, all that sort of stuff. Well, now that I've got the plate nice and cleaned off there, now that's cleaned off to me, I'm ready to load up that glove again and get some more on there. Now you'll notice I'm going in with more of my hand there as I'm doing it. Not those delicate little fingertips like what I was doing with the blues and greens. And that's not because I've come up with a new style or it's going to make some big difference to this. It is simply because I don't have that kind of control over my left hand. My right hand I can do that easily, but my left is just easier to kind of go thunk and put it right into that paint. Now it's also showing up in the prints because they're left-handed. These prints don't have quite as much paint on them. They don't have quite as much blending going on. And I think that comes down to the control of my left hand and not being ambidextrous. And it's also exciting to me to use that left hand, to do something in a way that feels a little awkward, a little uncomfortable. I like how that pushes me out of my comfort zone. It adds more of the fun to making the prints. So now you want to see what I do when I get to the end? Well, when I think it's my last one, I'm just going to stick my hand right in there. I'm going to grab a bunch of that paint and I'm going to move it around. And as I'm doing this, I'm picking up little bits of the blue. Not a lot, just a little. And it's also not a lot because there wasn't a lot of that paint left on the plate. Now I did pick up a couple of little black flecks as I was doing it because there was some black paint over there on that 6x6 plate that I really haven't used. And sometimes I'll put out colors and I won't use them in the play, but it doesn't mean they're wasted because you'll see what I do with those in a moment. All right, so here's the print with all the colors happening on it. Now there is still paint on this plate, so I could take a ghost print, but I want to use up a little bit more of the paint that's on that palette. So I'm just going to dip in there and fill in any of the open areas so I get a more solid print with this one and get to use up that paint. It's a win-win both ways. Now this is not the only thing you can do with a gel plate. There are so many different ways you can use them, so many different looks when you understand how that gel plate works, why it's doing what it's doing. And if you want to have a deeper understanding of the gel plate, if you want to be able to steer and control and guide your print so it's not random, take a look at my gel printing workshops. I've got them over at acolorfuljourney.com. And over there you can find the list of the current gel printing workshops that are open for registration. Well, I'm taking the gloves off here because I'm now done grabbing more paint for it. And before I take this pull that's on the plate, I want to show you what the paint palette one looks like. And this is really the reason why you will see in a lot of my videos, 1, paint all over my hands, but 2, you will see that I'm using gel plates as my paint palette. Because when I'm done, any paint that's left over doesn't have to be wasted. You can get prints off of it. In a way that I can't get that off of just a plain old wax paper palette. The gel plate does something different. It's magical the way it releases paint. And I've gotten one off of this. I'm going to get a second print off of this, no problem, because there was a fair amount of paint on it because it was the paint palette. So that means this ghost print actually has a fair amount of paint on it simply because there was a lot of paint on that palette still. And that second print, that was the one that just captured my heart. So this third ghost pull, I don't know if it's going to be able to beat that one. That second one really, really made me happy. And nope, I mean, this one's great, but it's not a favorite. And speaking of favorites, do you prefer the orange, pink, yellow prints, or do you like more of the blue, green, yellow prints? Do you like the warm ones or the cool ones? Which one is your favorite? Let me know in the comments. I'll do a little replay here for you from prints earlier in this video to help you decide Team Blue or Team Pink. Well, thanks so much for joining me for today's play. If you've enjoyed this video, if you've had fun, I'd so appreciate it if you gave it a thumbs up. And if you'd like to see more of my videos, hit that subscribe button. That way you'll know as soon as I've got a new one out. And most of all, thank you for letting me be a part of your colorful journey.